Now we're going to work on the latte cup. So for our purposes, I'm going to do the latte cup as a pink cup, and it is going to have a white sleeve. Like when we did the calligraphy heart, if you've done that one already, what we're looking for are shapes that we can anchor ourselves with. The trick for royal icing, as you know, is to never flood two sections that are next to each other before that section is dry. So we would never flood the sleeve and the cup section. We would never flood the cup and the lid piece here at the same time. So what we can do is we can go every other section, and we'll use the cookie cutter to tell us where to go. So it's really easy to see the indentation here where the cup is versus the sleeve. So that's a great place to start to anchor ourselves. And now remember too, we can outline, we just can't flood. So what I like to do first is find something that I recognize, like the sleeve. It's easy, it's straight lines. I'm going up and I'm anchoring down at the corner. I've got a sleeve. Now the other easy thing to do is see that little lip of the lid. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do that lid section next, because my coffee cup lid is also going to be white. So once you've got that, it's really easy to see the little hat here. And sometimes when I do them, I get really complicated and I make the circle top here and so forth. But for right now, I just want you to outline easy shapes. So I've got my pink. And again, this is super easy because it's just two straight lines. Oops. Now, if you ever do that, first of all, I wouldn't even worry about that curvy bit because this is all going to be pink anyway. But if you ever have a little dollop that doesn't want to go, you just kind of go back over it. If you'd like to, you can smooth it out with your toothpick, but you don't have to. And then this, same as the little hat on top, super easy. Cup. Okay. So what I can do is I can either flood this, this, and this, or this and this. So since we're gonna get more out of the way, now I wanna show you too. Look at this. Oh, you see? I forgot to set it up on the little plate, so it kind of like had some splorpage. So I just take my cleanup paper towel and I get rid of the splorpage, and it's good. So now I'm going to flood the pink cup. Now, at this point, you can take a look and see. You can kind of shake it and let it settle itself. And it settled pretty nice. You don't probably need to get in there with your toothpick and do anything. So I skip a section, and now I'm going to flood here. Just got a couple spots right here where it didn't want to fill out. And I see a couple little air bubbles. I see a couple air bubbles, and I don't know if you can see them or not, but I'm going to pop them. You'll see them on your own cookies as a little dark spot. Sometimes the pink has little pink dark spots that are just part of the coloring. The dark spots that are bubbles look like a little shadow. And if you do get a bubble in your icing, it's not the end of the world. It'll still taste yummy, and nobody will notice but you, to be honest. So now I'm going to come back with this white up here and flood the top. Sometimes I just shush it with the piping bag if I'm not worried about getting too much in here. And you can just kind of zhoosh it down. All these technical terms, shush and zhuzh. And there you have it. We are ready to let it dry a little bit before we move on to the next. All right, we are back, and I have better lighting because daytime. A lot of times I decorate in the middle of the night because it's the quietest time in my house, so the lighting isn't perfect. This is what I use these binder clips for. If I need to come back later on or the next day or something like that, your royal icing will stay good, honestly, for probably at least a couple of weeks. Just on the counter. I like to refrigerate mine because it makes the color not come through like we might have seen where the color likes to seep to one edge and you have to massage it. It doesn't really do that if you refrigerate. And usually I go through it faster. Within a couple of days I'm done with it and I'm making new, but you don't have to get to these cookies right away. So we've got our sections have now dried. You only have to wait until they form a crust, so anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Mine was overnight just because I had to stop and go to bed. However, normally I start before midnight. Whoops, if you hear crashes in the background, that's my offspring. So the nice thing with flooding once it's dry is that even though they're the same color, these sections are going to be totally delineated because one is dry. So it's not going to bleed, they're not going to bleed into each other. And that started to want to seep off the edge a little bit. I think I might have filled it kind of heavy on that side. So I'm just moving it in. Kind of, you can see if you want it to move in, you just kind of swoosh it in. And then wiggle it out. You just want to make sure you don't see any bubbles hanging out. If you want to, you can take your paper towel and kind of tap it or shake it, and a lot of those will come to the surface. You'll see the magic of television when in a moment we come back and it'll be dry. Okay, so once your cookie is dry, you can pipe the edges if you would like. Oh, and we do a heart. I like the heart. So to do a heart, super easy. I wouldn't try to sit and draw a heart. If you've watched the other video about piping around a heart and you've seen me try to actually draw a heart, it's pretty pitiful. So when you do it, instead what you're going to do is you're going to create those top two curves by piping some extra icing. So all I do is I take my piping consistency and I squeeze and kind of shape a dot and then pull out the bottom, and then squeeze to make a dot and then pull out the bottom, and then sort of swoosh it and make it even. And then you can use your stick if you'd like to kind of pull a pointier point and round your edges a little bit more if you'd like. And because we're making kind of a that's my worst heart in the world, sorry guys. Trying to do it not sitting directly over it, which makes it tough. You will sit directly over yours. Oh, that's not so bad. Okay, so the nice thing is icing is really forgiving. So when I make a mistake, you can at least see how I fix it. So I'm gonna do this kind of sitting more over top of it. So yeah, just kind of blorp, pull, blorp, pull. And there you got your heart. Blorp, pull, blorp, pull. And any way you want to shape it, you can. One more. Blorp, pull, blorp, pull. Okay, whoops. If you do something like this, just whoosh, whoosh, with your little stick. So, it's super easy to make a heart. You can also pipe in your seams. So sometimes to make these shapes just a little bit more stand out, I like to pipe the edges. So if you sew it all, it's like stitching in the ditch. I'm just gonna outline the edges, kind of like we did when we originally piped the shapes. So then any bits along the edges that aren't perfectly straight, because sometimes when you put your two icings together, it's not perfectly straight. You can fix it with just a little bit of piping. And you'll see I'm just slowing down my pressure as I get closer to the edge. And then I move closer to the cookie so that I'm not going too far over. Now in this case, you have the option, it's just kind of your taste, what you like. So maybe you just want it to have the emphasis on the white of the sleeve and the lid. You could also come back in and pipe to the edges here. It's hard to see where I am because I'm coming from the side here so you can see me, or so you can see what I'm doing. So I keep saying that, sorry. So I'm going a little close to the cookie, closer than I would normally. Just don't try to go too fast. And I'm just smoothing out. When you lift up your piping bag, sometimes it makes little, like the top of Hershey's Kiss. And you can just use your toothpick and just kind of smooth that out. Now, if you want to, I have also seen sometimes people will put a little spot for the put a little spot up here of black or gray, if you have gray, for the place you drink out of. I'm undecided on what I think about that. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. You can also easily put like a name here, or however you want to decorate it. Another fun thing, if you want to do wet on wet, is to make the cup striped or polka dotted. It just adds another little bit of dimension to it. So have fun decorating your latte cups.